December 14th. Roll call
Alderperson Hall. Here. Alderperson Morset.
here
Alderperson Wakefield.
on our way. Approval of the regular meeting minutes, September 7th.
Move to approve.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item B, which is the November 9th regular meeting minutes. If you recall, it was not on the last meeting or vice versa or something. so.
Yeah, it was the September one that we
Yep.
hadn't had. Okay. Move to approve.
Second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Number 4, review the draft traffic calming policy.
So this item, the city has been looking into a traffic calming policy to address speeding concerns throughout the city. So it has been uploaded for review. I can do just an overview, and then anyone that wants to dive more into a detail, just let me know. So I'll just kind of go through it. So the first part, just stating the purpose of the policy and the procedure. And so the general procedure is going to be someone applies with our online application. We can have a paper copy to be filled out and handed in at City Hall as well. And then the application will be reviewed, we'll collect data, and then determine if there is an actual speeding issue or if it's just a perceived problem. If there is an actual speeding issue, then we will look to see what the best recommendation is in the engineering department. And then we will bring it forward to the Public Safety Committee to go over the results and the recommendation. If the Public Safety Committee is on board, we will look to get 60% of the affected area in support of the traffic calming measure. And the affected area will just be determined on a situation basis. So we'll determine, is it one block away from where the concern is? What makes sense based on what the problem is to come up with that area. And then if we get the support from the 60% of the affected area, then we would take it to the Public Works Committee, and the Public Works Committee would look at, can we roll this in to a project going on? Can we do it as a standalone project? Basically figure out how we would fund and implement the project. So eligible applicants would be anyone that lives or owns property, or it could be a homeowners association in the city limits. The eligible streets would mainly be any residential street comprised of at least 50% residential in general. And the only caveat would be that some of the traffic calming measures in our toolbox would be limited on some of the higher collector arterial truck routes, maybe bus routes. Those might be limited to what you can do. So more like pavement marking, signage, the feedback signs versus actually like changing the geometry of the road. So the speeding criteria in here to actually be warranted as a speeding concern would be that the average speed is essentially over the posted speed limit, and that the 85th percentile speed is 5 miles over the posted speed limit, or there are 3 or more crashes within a 1-year period.
Are there any places in the city where we've had 3 or more crashes within a 1-year period?
Yes,
Which ones?
Carmichael Road,
Oh, okay, and that's all. I mean, there aren't any side streets that,
pretty much.
okay. I mean, I'm not trying to minimize Carmichael Road because that's a very important place. Okay, but I mean,
Not off the top of my head.
okay, but, so I mean, I know that we've got one spot in Carmichael Road that's really a problem. Is that the only spot where there's been 3
Cooley
crashes?
Road, all the way down to Hanley Road.
Okay,
We do 600 crashes a year. Most of them are on Carmichael Road.
wow, okay.
I think if you recall, Joyce, over the past few years we've been on this committee, there's a couple hot spots
Yeah.
dotted throughout, where we would see the
Yeah.
traffic data backing what we made as decisions at the time. But maybe
Yeah.
some we didn't. We just said, that's what the neighborhood wants. That's what we should get or do.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that I understand these numbers and how we're gonna be applying them, so, anyway,
Yeah,
sorry for the
and-
interruption.
No, that's okay, and, maybe if it's not common, there's 3, just because, on local residential roads, we could make it more general, saying, an accident history or something like that, instead of being 3 or more,
Well, and some of this too, we can try it out and see whether
Right.
things work and whether the residents in the area are pleased with the way that we've done things, or if the residents say, wait a minute, this criteria just doesn't make sense.
Right, yeah, and I think we'll know that too. The criteria came off of the New Richmond one, and, it seems like a valid, option, so,
I think moving forward, as we do implement it, when we do, it's a living, breathing document, but at the same time, we want to keep it as solid as possible, and not just keep changing
Oh,
policy.
yeah, oh, yeah.
yeah.
No, but I mean, we'll know when there's something where it
Right.
just doesn't fit the policy, but we know that something needs to be done.
Right,
Yeah.
And that might be the time to.
because you don't want a roundabout in front of your house, do you?
Not right now, no. A roundabout really isn't appropriate for right in front of my house anyway, 'cause it's just a turn.
Okay, well, I'll keep going. The affected area, I already explained. And the petition, the city would take, ownership to kind of circulate that in the affected area. New Richmond's did kind of say the person kind of having the concern has to circulate a petition, and I just felt like maybe that's a little bit too much of a burden for someone.
So are you seeing that would be mailed to all of the
Yeah, we'd
affected
probably
residents?
just mail. Yeah,
okay.
because we can easily get people's addresses and just mail out a letter.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
It's a little cumbersome or intimidating for
Yeah.
someone to go knocking door to door.
Right.
But I can see that somebody who is concerned about something like this would be able to take that on themselves too.
Yeah.
Just to remind people to sign that
Right.
and then collect them or something like that, so that they know that they
Yeah.
get turned in.
Yeah, if there's someone willing to do that, great.
More the
I don't want
merrier.
it to be a requirement that they
Okay.
have to.
How did you choose the 60%?
That was a common number that I saw in multiple other traffic calming policies.
Okay.
So I don't know if I want to say industry standard, but there was multiple examples with 60%. That's just a little bit over half, so kind of seems reasonable.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work. Did you get any information does New Richmond use that number?
I think they do too, yep.
And how has it been working for them, do you know?
I don't know. I haven't had a conversation with New Richmond
Okay.
specifically.
What's your thought? Too high, too low?
Too high, yeah. And, I get the standardization because, that helps a lot. And then we're not gonna have people coming in here saying, well, you gave it to them and not to us, and we can point to the figures and things like that. But then again, the Public Safety Committee and the council, they still have final approval of all of this stuff. So, anyway,
It's just to show that there is general support from other neighbors versus, one person. And obviously, some of the changes could affect other people in the neighborhood, so we just want to make sure they're all on board. Say you put in a speed hump, that's gonna affect everyone else.
oh yeah.
So,
I've done
just wanna make
canvassing after the
sure-
speed humps were put in.
yeah, we want to make sure, a lot of the policies, which I have on the end, are removal of traffic calming measures, and I put in 75% have to sign a petition for removal. So, it just seems like good to have some sort of support to implement something.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we could definitely talk about that percentage, and, we could discuss if there's just a lack of response in general too, that could happen, so I don't know how, just a no response maybe doesn't count.
I will allow public statement after she gives her presentation, just for your knowledge.
Okay.
I
No
apologize,
worries.
I'm sorry.
So yeah, do you have a number in your head, or for a percentage?
Well,
Or
when I looked at it, my initial response was, like 25 to 40% or something like that.
Okay,
Because, just from my own experiences of, all right, so we've got the speed humps that get put in on Chestnut, and I've canvassed there when I've been up for reelection.
Okay.
And I've asked the people that I've talked to, what do you think of the speed humps? Well, the people with children love them, the people without children hate them.
Right.
So,
right,
I would think you'd want the number larger for more participation in it, for that very reason.
right,
So you can get a bigger sample size of the opinion of, especially something like a speed bump.
well, and I don't think that we're gonna be using a lot of speed humps, we've got a lot more other things in our,
yeah,
in our arsenal now.
yeah,
But I think, though, that it's going to be good to try some of these things out in different places, particularly the removable ones, so that we can get a good picture before we have permanent ones put in.
Yeah.
So that we know before we put in a permanent one, we know that it's well received in the neighborhood.
right, yep, yeah,
We're talking about the threshold on petition,
Yep.
and Joyce is just kind of questioning, is that the right number? And it's not industry standard, but it's what other communities comparable to ours are doing. It's 60%.
yep,
So, all right, so if I read this correctly, all right, it was one member of the household would have to sign that. And only one member, so if two members of the household,
yeah, it was.
Disagreed.
It's just, well,
one could send it in, and the other person wouldn't have a vote anyway, because
correct,
it's only gonna be the people who actually send them in that are gonna be counted, because they're either gonna sign it and send it in, or they're not going to do anything.
yeah, I mean, it was gonna be one per household, because it would be hard, I guess, for us to determine like the total number
Oh,
in
yeah,
each
I
household.
I get why you did that.
Yeah, so that would have to be an internal, do we sign it or do we not sign it, if there's a disagreement.
So then, all right, so then if there are 20 houses on either side of the street altogether in this area,
Yep.
then, okay, then 60%, that would be, you'd have to have 12 signatures asking
Or-
for this
yeah.
to do this.
Yeah,
And, yeah, I mean, okay, what's our voting average as far as like people coming down to, what's the percent of people that actually come down to vote in most elections, you know? Anybody know?
Smaller than you realize.
yeah.
Yeah,
It depends on the district as well.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could keep it in here, and kind of see if it's working out, or we, change it to something else, but whatever you guys think.
I think it's a good number. For a starting point, because I want more participation. I want to hear
Yeah.
everybody's concerns. If we start doing something just nuts,
Yeah,
we want to know.
yeah. If we're not getting like any responses, we'll just probably take that into a consideration versus,
Well, and then the person who submits this should be following things and following up with their neighbors to
yeah,
get them to send things in too.
right.
And as you know, in the past, the people that come here are passionate about the issue.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be involved.
I can see that it's a starting point. We see how things work and take it from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then the last section, just, yeah, project implementation, so just a few more details, you know, just explaining we don't have specific money each year to go to this. We may choose to do a temporary solution and then, you know, solicit more feedback. And, you know, we'll try to follow the Wisconsin Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, just as that's industry standard guidelines for different engineering design. And then also, you know, everything will be kind of reviewed by fire, police, public works, the school district, if it's something that would affect them. And then the removal, like I mentioned, is just the last part saying the council kind of reserves the right to remove any at any time. And then residents can petition and have 75% of households sign the petition for it to be considered for removal. And then that's the end of it. I'll just go into detail. So here's the eligibility map, which this is a PDF version, but we did actually create a web application. So if people reviewed that, they can come in here, type in their address, kind of see if it's a yes, no, or just kind of that partial eligibility. And you can also click here, and this is where the application form will be. And so people can just fill this in on their phone, on their computer, and then hit submit, and we'll get notified that someone submitted an application. And this will be a good way, doing it online, you know, makes it easy for people. And also it will be a way that on the back end, we can actually keep track of the applications in like a background map or we could put it out to the public, like here has when, and have a good place to keep record of all the requests. And then.
Okay, so one question that I got, we do have traffic calming measures, for example, on Hanley Road and on 2nd Street, north of Vine. So it is possible to put some traffic calming measures on some of these things. I know we can't do it on the freeway, but
Yeah.
should we be including something about that in this policy so that people can still request?
Oh, you're saying requests like on the ones that are red, you're
Yes.
saying?
Or at least bring them to, you know,
Well-
have this, somehow have this in the form so that they can bring things to our attention that they have concerns about this.
Yeah, basically the red are anything in like a business district or something that's not really adjacent to anything residential. And so I feel like the main concerns are within residential districts.
Yes.
And so that's how they were chosen to just basically flip to red.
Okay.
But yeah, essentially, like, could we put up a, you know, speed display sign on Cooley? Like, sure. But if we're wanting this to just be focused, this is like neighborhood traffic calming, that's what most of the policies I've seen have been focused towards. So I think we could open it up for some of those, you know, maybe literally it would just be like some signage or speed display, but, or maybe the pavement marking. So yeah, that's up to you guys if you want to allow more. But we also don't want like, you know, 50 complaints coming in on Carmichael.
We're already
And then,
very well
you know,
aware of
and
that.
then it's gonna be hard to, yeah, how do you determine then like who's, you know, maybe those don't have an affected area, like, cause you're not gonna require the businesses to sign a petition probably, you know.
Well, all right, so another example would be Carmichael, north of the middle school, where they've got the stop signs there. There have been some complaints about that as well.
Oh, I was debating, honestly, yeah, like that, I kind of debated changing that to like yellow, and we could definitely do that in that specific.
So maybe some additional yellow might be
Sure.
appropriate for this, just so that we're getting information on these areas.
Right.
I think if we get complaints, as we know on Carmichael, just because it's in red doesn't mean we can't address the issue.
Yeah,
Right.
yes, yeah, absolutely. It's just to set some general
Yeah.
guidelines.
Yeah, well,
So-
Center Street's on that.
Center, yeah.
That's a good example.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, there's nothing preventing someone from not putting in an application. If it's in one of the red streets, someone could still type in, you know, Carmichael.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
and, oh, sorry, I'm just flipping back and forth, but,
So I got the application and then the actual toolbox, if that's what we're calling it.
yep, yeah, so the application, that'll just generally be, you know, who you are, where you live, what's your concern, when is it happening, what are you requesting? I did put in the notes below, requesting stop signs or yield signs. We actually have a separate stop and yield sign policy that has been approved previously before I have been here. So that kind of is a whole separate process, and stop signs aren't really considered traffic calming. And then I did put in here, speed bumps will not be considered just because of all their impacts, you know, speeding between humps, emergency vehicle response, public works, you know, not liking them, and just in general, a lot of diversion to just neighboring streets if you install them.
So, say that again, stop sign policy is not a traffic taming.
Correct.
Okay.
That's kind of a general, there is actually some data to support, it's not, it doesn't really work, you know, people just speed in between, or they'll go to other streets, and it, you know, disrupts, where it's not warranted, it's not good to add them.
So that policy should remain a standalone policy.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything that addresses data collection after implementation? I know that there's something for the neighborhood to determine, but is there anything that we're going to do to collect data afterwards to see if that's an effective?
I think, no, but it's not in the written in the policy, but if we feel like maybe that's something we want to do, just to have in our own back pocket, like, you know, putting, say we, do a bump out, is it actually working? And if it's not really working, then maybe it's something we take out of the toolbox, and, you know, but like the bump out, some of them have other benefits, like for pedestrians and things, so.
I
don't
think
have
that is a
anything in
good
the
idea
policy.
to
Yeah.
track that, because, and put it in the policy that
Okay.
it will be tracked, so that
Yeah.
people know that we are following up on these things, because if they're not working, then we don't want to put permanent ones in.
Right. So you're saying let's just always do the temporary solution?
Unless,
Because
of course, the whole road or street is being repaved, of course, and
Right,
redone.
right.
Mhm. But yes, start
Yeah,
with
'cause-
temporary solutions, see how they work,
Well, I don't say always.
Right,
but in general,
I'm just saying with EMS and fire and
right.
those kind of first responders, it may seem like it's not going to be an impact, but if it looks like after we've done something, it does negatively impact EMS or, you know, fire getting to respond to things, then I think we need to consider that just, we don't always know up ahead to know that's what the impact's going to be on those things.
Yeah, yep, it's true. I think most of them, bump outs, you know, the refuge island, that might, you could essentially do most of them with like delineators. Not, you know, pavement markings, and, you know, that one doesn't have a big effect, or, you know, it's gonna be hard to do a raised crosswalk temporarily. So most of them, though, in general, you could do a temporary solution, and so whether we just kind of decide to do that or write it in the policy, you know, like you said, there's a little bit to keep some of it vague versus laying out all the specific details, so I think that's something I would like, it would be good to do the temporary and see if it's working. So if you guys think you want me to write that in there, I can definitely do that.
I think that's a good
Or-
idea.
I would.
Okay.
And there needs to be exceptions. I mean, obviously, if there's an issue that we are very concerned about, we need to make it either a permanent decision, we have to be able to do that.
Right.
So I don't want to tie our hands on just being temporary.
No.
Everything's always temporary.
Oh, no, but,
Yeah.
So wordsmith it,
Right, yeah. Yep, I see what you're saying.
yeah.
And the temporary is nice because sometimes if we don't have funding to do a permanent, then at least you can have that there. You know, like Minneapolis, they put up a lot of delineators and that's like, has been their permanent solution that they keep up even all winter. So,
So I don't recall ever seeing chokers or chicanes as there, and I've traveled quite a bit.
I don't know if I've ever actually seen one either. It's just, it's in a lot of documents you look up as an option. So, you know, I thought, let's put it in there if we feel like there's a good application for it. I don't know if I've ever personally seen one.
First thing that comes is 9th Street, not to get off on a tangent, but that first thing.
which street?
9th Street.
Oh,
the
yeah.
choker, the chicane.
yeah.
But
Right.
So with the bump outs and the curb extensions, does that make it more difficult to plow?
I don't want to speak for our plow drivers. I don't think they love them, but because, they kind of have to know that they're there and things, but I think it's probably better than a speed hump that they like, but
So they prefer those over the speed humps.
I can't say for sure. But
Okay, well, maybe that would be a smart idea, would be to do a survey of the plow drivers.
Yeah,
And
yep.
ask for their opinions on each of these items, including the speed humps. Because what I've been reading about speed humps is that if, like a permanent one, it's not a, all of a sudden, a big bump. It's kind of a gradual up and down so that the snow plows can get over it easily. The other, the emergency vehicles can get over it easily. And, you're only going to be using them in residential neighborhoods, not on main streets. And which brings up another question for me, which is, all right, which of these would be valuable on main driving routes like Vine Street or 9th Street versus which ones would be better for residential streets like Chestnut, for example?
Yeah, I think we would, I'm kind of leaving that up to, we'll determine that once we get into looking into each situation individually in each location. Like 9th Street has more traffic, than the other residential streets, so, but I don't know if it's enough traffic to say some of them aren't warranted, like we did the traffic circles, even though it is more of a collector road. So, I don't know if we want to get into that specific detail, like which application is specific to like which street.
Okay,
Well,
so,
you do have in here that all recommendations must be, through the fire, through Public Works, all
Yeah.
of that. So that does kind of cover that aspect.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And we still do have to take on individual issues as
Yeah.
they come.
yep. All right, the raised crosswalk, is that similar to a speed hump in that it's a gradual increase and then down so that it's,
Yes. It is essentially the same thing, just implemented at a specific crosswalk location, so just kind of the added, it's more of a, yes, it's a speed hump, and if we in general don't like the speed humps, but in the situations where it's really a benefit to pedestrians, I think we live with it type, that's what I was thinking.
okay.
They're a lot funner to speed over though than the speed humps.
Yeah.
It's like a roller coaster ride.
Yeah,
Like
they
the
might
one on
have a,
Carmichael and, over by the Hudson Positions with, my granddaughter likes going over that.
oh, yeah.
Okay, is, anything else, Aaron?
That was it, and yep, so,
Any questions before I open it up to the folks that are here for? If not, if you have a couple comments, feel free to come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and then we'll try to answer or listen to the best we can and go from there.
Hi, my name is Laura Degree, and I live on 58 Crown Point Curve. I just moved here in October. Our townhome, well, my neighbor Betty and I, we have a strip of townhomes that back up to stage line. And so our patios are about 30 feet off of stage line. When I looked at the property, it was a 35 mile per hour road, Saturday, pretty low traffic. Nothing could have prepared me for what happens Monday morning during rush hour commuter traffic. I was floored by what happens. What I did when I noticed this, I did contact the police department. I worked with the chief, Officer Wildman. We were able to put some radar up to actually monitor what's going on. And we currently have one going westbound, monitoring the speed that's right outside of our townhomes. I think what has been happening and what's been most concerning is the excessive speeds that are coming by. It's a 35 mile per hour road. This morning, I was out watching what's happening because when these semis come through, these buses come through, it literally shakes our townhomes, and it's scary. So this morning I was out looking at it and I was watching the radar, and we were hitting speeds 55 plus in a 35. So it's not just the speed, it's excessive speed, it's aggressive, there's racing, it's very loud, and it's the volume, and it's construction vehicles, it's buses. The school buses, I saw a school district, they would need to approve certain things. The school buses in the morning when they're starting their routes, it's some of the worst. They're some of the worst offenders. I've already called the Safeway bus company to tell them about this.
Joyce has been dealing with them for.
I'm glad you called the bus company because that's really important. That's something that Nick Willett, the school superintendent, recommended to me. He said, make sure that you get as many people calling and as many different people calling the bus company so that they get a lot of complaints, because if the school district calls and makes a complaint, it doesn't have the impact that a resident has.
Well, I did call. Very nice. They did encourage me to get bus numbers. It's really hard to get the bus numbers, especially when they're going so fast. I have been trying to videotape them, though, I will tell you that. So anyway, I'm very concerned. And the other thing is that there's no protection for us. You know, I mean, we're literally right there, right on the road. And I understand that it's one of these arterial roads, anticipation for larger vehicles, higher traffic. I mean, that's all something that happens. But with the speeds that we're seeing and the volume, I mean, this is just, it's dangerous. There's no barrier that's protecting us. And the noise that's another thing. It's just that speed is out of control. And also too, noticing that I made this observation because it felt like westbound was a little bit faster than eastbound. So I made the path, the road, kind of coming down. It's 45 miles per hour coming westbound, and then you hit that four-way where the theater is, and then it drops to 35. There's only one sign that says 35 miles per hour after that four-way stop. And then you move around the curve, and then there's one other 35 mile per hour sign that's up there. That's where the radar is right now today. But that's it. So a lot of people, I think, are coming in 45 miles per hour. They hit the four-way stop. If they don't see that 35 mile per hour sign, they're continuing to go 45 miles an hour. And then if they hit 50, they're 45 in their mind, and then they hit 50, they're thinking they're like in the zone. So this is why I think we get such a big swing, because of the mindset of what's happening. So,
Thank you. Any questions?
thanks.
Jeff, is that four-way stop, is she talking past the theater? That's township?
30, Old 35, stage line.
Is
That's town.
east, though, that's township, so
So that is the township, yeah.
we won't be able to do anything there, really, the township, but in front of where you're talking, yes, we can address that.
Yeah, there's a sign just past, basically Old 35, right, between the roadway and the theater.
Yeah.
Kind of in that little open area, and then there's not another sign until you start coming around the curve a little bit. And that one was covered by tree limbs, but I had Public Works go out there and trim those up, so
Okay.
at least it's visible now.
And there is still quite a bit of trees covering when you turn that curve. I mean, those could be cut back a little bit more, just so you can see that sign a little bit more. So
It's a
there's-
true story.
It has been cut back. You couldn't even see the sign before.
Do you want to bring that up with Mike again?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions on the whole overall neighborhood traffic calming? Thank you very much. Did you want to say anything?
Thank you. My name is Betty Peterson, and I live at 52 Crown Point Curve. And if you're familiar with the area, these are just a separate set of 6 townhouses that were built 7 years ago, right on stage line. And I'm really concerned why that was ever even approved to be built there, knowing that this was an alternate route for 94 or future construction. When I moved there, it was fine. I can't say we had many complaints at all. But within the last several months, maybe even a year, it is truly horrendous. And like Laura said, it's not just buses, it's post office trucks. It's construction vehicles, semis, pickups. Today, a concrete mixer went by and just shook the whole area because they're going so fast and we're not used to that volume or that type of heavy equipment. So I agree with absolutely everything Laura said, and thank you for giving the presentation. You did a wonderful job, but we're really concerned about the safety of not only us, but the people that are on the road. And one other thing, she said people race because it's 2 lanes, and then you get to the entrance to another complex, and you have to merge into 1 lane. And they're rushing to get to that 1 lane. They're literally racing to get there. And it's just scary. So I just thank you for anything that you are going to continue to do to alleviate or at least improve this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. Any questions for Aaron on this whole traffic taming policy, calming policy? I think it's a very good start, Aaron. Thank you for
Yes,
getting it to us, and we
absolutely.
appreciate your hard work and your patience.
Yeah.
You know, I know we've been all kind of hounding you for it, because we've been getting hounded as well.
Yes.
Anyway, it looks really good. I think that, you've built something that's pretty comprehensive, and so I appreciate that. Yeah, we've been waiting a long time for this, so it's great to,
Yeah.
So I
time for some
don't,
champagne.
so I don't know if we're going to take formal action yet tonight. It's got to go to Public Works,
Yep.
correct?
Yeah.
But I think the overall approval, yes, let's keep
Okay.
moving forward with this. If you need formal motion on that or not.
I don't think so. I'll just, I'll work on looking into some of the things you guys mentioned and then take it to Public Works and then, based on their comments, I think I would just bring it right to council. Does
Okay.
that sound
Okay, yes.
appropriate? And then
Yep.
that's where it'd kind of get approved.
I appreciate it, and thank you for taking the time to meet with us tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so the recommended action here was to approve it for Public Works Committee
Oh, sure.
review. So I will make the motion to,
Well, I don't, where are you seeing that?
that
It's on the
is
issue
in the
sheet.
issue sheet.
It's not on the agenda. My apologies. Yes, I will, go ahead, Joyce.
All right, so I will make the motion to send this to Public Works for review, and then after they have done the review, then to City Council with the changes that we requested.
Second.
Any further discussion? Any opinions from chiefs?
Nope.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we'll go to Public Works. Thank you, Aaron, very much. Okay, thank you, ladies.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. 4B, potential safety issues at the intersection of Beaneman Street and O'Keefe Road. Chief, if you'll take the background on this quickly.
Well, all I really know is that there was a crash on Halloween. Someone was westbound on Beaneman Street, drove through the stop sign and down into the creek between O'Keefe Road and Stone Creek Street, the residences there. And we received a concerning notification from one of the residents that wished for something to be done there to prevent cars from doing that in the future and then potentially crashing into those homes.
So as of now, Mike is going to put up chevron yellow and black signs to stop.
Okay?
Like you said, there's been one crash here since that development has happened. So we don't want to knee-jerk react, but we want to make sure we are paying attention to it. We don't want anybody to get hurt or killed or anything like that. But it was it's a concern. She brought it up, and I think it's a very good concern. And we need to, react with common sense.
Yeah, basically I sent the information, Mike and I worked on it a little bit. We took the background, we did a look back of 10 years, and that was the only crash that had been reported at that intersection in the last 10 years. Based on that, and no other real complaints in that area, Mike said it doesn't really fit the requirement to do a full, basically a guardrail system there. So he offered several simpler solutions that could help alleviate potential issues in the future, and that's the one that he came up with is the signs there that basically say, hey, this road ends, right? It's not a through street kind of deal, and
Well, there's already a stop sign there at Beaneman.
there's a stop sign.
So, yeah, that sounds like that's the, the next step then.
Yeah, but we wanted to bring it to you. The constituent wanted it out in front, in the public, so we can talk about it and make sure we're aware of it. And we've addressed it for now, and we'll just monitor it.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
4C, Rotary St. Croix River Dunk. This is their annual, we really don't have any issues, Jeff?
Nope, this is, you're a Rotary member, you know more than I how often this has been going on, but it's been several years, and
It's been really good to
they've got
us.
it down to science, and it's a well-oiled machine. They've got the changing tents all secured. They've got EMS is there, standing by. I mean, we've had zero issues with this event.
Any concerns, John?
Same here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love the picture of Heather Loughlin with her hair out to there. It's just great. So have you jumped, Randy?
Nope,
You going to?
nope. I don't think so. Yeah, well, yeah, there's that.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. That's a good event for the community.
Yeah, it is.
Number 5, informational items. I do not have anything at this point. So we go number 6 to the EMS updates, and he did drop off a little summary report in front of you guys.
Yeah, I have some other, just quick updates. Our EMS base in Stillwater, I don't know if you've been up on Highway 36 in Osgood lately and seen the changes to that building, but, you know, that'll be our home, actually our home base of operation for at least the next 7 years, and who knows what'll happen after that. We'll either be out by the new hospital or remain there, we don't know, but when the decision was made for us to stay there an extended period of time, we had to put some money into that to make it a little more professional and suitable for our team, so.
Looks really nice.
It's all done now and it is nice.
You moved in?
What's that?
Are you moved in?
Yeah, we've been moved in. I mean, we put up with this construction there all summer, so it was a little rough, but we made it through it. Staffing wise, I am, right now currently have a operations supervisor position posted. Matt has resigned. He had moved on, like the last 3 people in that role, has gone to Regions EMS. We'll still be working, with Matt all the time. So that position is open, and I think I have 6 internal applicants for that position. So our general staffing, we have 1 full-time opening, but we've not posted that because our schedule's full. And if we post it, we're gonna have to shift things around for the next 6 weeks. So we don't have any issues. We, on January, the first pay period in January, which I think is January 8th, first full pay period in January, we will change to the 40-hour work week. So we're doing away with the 1.2. I think I reported months ago that we changed their pay rate to do that so they don't lose money. That started months ago, so they've been making their new wages when we pull the switch in January. So it'll be just much more healthier for them. And so anyone we've hired since, I want to say June or July, any new full-timers, they were hired at a 40-hour work week. So we've filled all the positions we needed to accomplish that. In October, we started our second ambulance on the overnights in Stillwater full-time. Prior to that, it was wherever we could fill a shift. If we had enough people to fill the shift, we filled it. But that was one of the things we had to do in that remodel phase, was to put in 2 more sleep rooms. So that's done, and that's full-time and up and running.
How many hours are there shifts now, or will that change in January? What's the model starting in January?
So we're going to allow them to continue to work the 24-hour shifts. So it'd be 124 and a 16-hour shift a week versus the 48 hours they do today.
Okay.
With the paid overtime. So, you know, they're making a lot of money with that built-in overtime. So by dropping them to a 40-hour work week, they essentially would lose money. So we had to bring their pay scale up quite a bit to keep them at the same thing. The most senior person lost maybe $5,000 a year, but anything, you know, all of our training, everything's at overtime. So you're going to make it up. And still that person would be making or working less hours than far less hours than they're doing today. So it's healthier for them, and
Better work-life balance.
yeah, exactly. That was the whole point of it. I have an update on the CAD to CAD process that's been going on for maybe close to a year. Terry Anderson reached out to me, I think it was on Monday, and let me know that they're almost completed with that. Because he wants to know where to send the invoice, so. That's good news, so.
That's important.
I think we had a cap on that, just remind you.
Yeah. So, I will be working with Terry. I think it's time for us to look at our radio procedures from what we do today, because now they're going to essentially see what our dispatch sees. So they'll have AVL, they'll see all the ambulances, they'll know who is assigned, they'll see who the crew members are. So it's almost like they are our dispatch center. So it's going to be nice. We're really looking forward to it. It's going to, I think, really change our response times, obviously, for the better.
How
Less-
much training are you expecting that the St. Croix County dispatchers are gonna need on that system?
I don't think it's going to be much.
Okay.
Because it essentially, from what I understand, when they determine that it's a medical or EMS type call, they just push a button on their computer and it pulls everything from Alina over.
Okay.
So, or vice versa. I mean, everything from the county then goes to our dispatch, and then everything that our dispatch has, they're seeing it as they type it. So all the patient information, everyone will see it. The crews will see it out in the ambulance on their CAD. So it is the most state-of-the-art technology out there, so we're looking forward to it. I'm sure they're looking forward to it because it's going to free up a lot of time for their dispatchers to not have to make that phone call. So that's pretty exciting, I think. We're still waiting for our new ambulances. Again, we're being told still May of 2024 is when we'll see the first 2 new ones that we ordered back in 2021, unfortunately. But everyone in the industry is in the same boat. The last thing I have is our education person that is in charge of Valley education for Hudson Hospital and the other Valley hospitals has been working with the high schools on kind of a recruiting process. And, just in healthcare, there's so many open positions right now, and, people aren't going into those careers anymore. And I think just there's a lot of research that the students don't really know what options are out there. So Valley Learning and Education has been working on this for a number of years, and we have been participating in it. So we did a day on November 13th up at Hudson High School, a full day with their anatomy physiology class and their biology class, where we spent the whole day up there. Every one of the classes came through a station that we had. So we did a scenario with them, a cardiac arrest scenario, but it was interactive with the students. So when they witnessed the cardiac arrest, someone would run and grab the AED from the school. The questions were asked, do you know where the AED is? And, what the process is when that happens in the school, so they knew that they need to call a teacher or an administrator or something. So it was really a good day. And then after that, they actually got to do hands-on with all of our advanced equipment that we have and get the feel of it. And then while that was going on, I would meet with the groups prior to them coming in there, and then I would talk about the career, going into the career of EMS. So we really had a lot of interested people, a lot of students that, want to go into healthcare, either physicians or a number of different things. So we got a lot of contacts and feedback later. So we've been doing that both with Hudson and Stillwater High School. So
Hopefully that pays off for you. I know, Jeff,
Yeah.
we've been doing that with the recruits. So,
yeah, I think anything will help today, the way things are going. And then I lied, I said I had the last thing. I'm not going to go over this report, it's just more for your information, but the numbers are good. The numbers over here in the city of Hudson are really flat, and they're equal within a few numbers each month. There's no spikes and valleys like we see in the rest of our service area. Response times are still 6 minutes on the fractile side and 4 minutes on the average response time. So there was nothing of concern for me. Things are good, and we like being over here, so. Questions?
Thanks, John. All right, thank you. Jeff?
No real updates. Just, we did include the November calls for service log, just to get an idea of what types of things that we're doing. And I would like to draw your attention to the extra patrols and the traffic enforcement that were done in the last month. I mean, 400 individual units of enforcement activity attempted there in a 30-day time frame. They're out there trying to, you know, put a slowdown in some of these people. But it's just, I mean, we can't be everywhere on every street at every time, you know. So
Yeah.
they're doing the best they can out there, and I thought that reflected a pretty good effort.
I think that's
Yes.
important to point out.
How many tickets were issued versus warnings?
I have no idea. I
Okay.
didn't run a tracks report.
Okay,
It's usually probably 70% warnings, 30% tickets in general. You can always, I mean.
is there like a rule of thumb that the?
No,
they
it's not
use?
really a rule of thumb. It's more about tolerance, right? So
Okay.
essentially what we're doing is when we're getting emails on complaints for traffic complaints, I'm sending out messages to our guys saying when you're not tied up on a call, when you're not busy writing a report, please go to these areas
be
and
there.
run radar.
Okay,
And be strict about it.
Yeah.
Right? But that might mean that they're stopping people at 7 or 8 miles an hour over the speed limit, that they're not gonna write tickets for that probably, right? So, you might in those situations have a higher volume of warnings over
Okay.
tickets, right? So,
Yeah.
it all depends, but in general, you know, you get about 70% warnings versus 30% tickets. I mean, just
okay,
in
that's
general.
what you usually
as-
have.
As time goes on,
Okay.
yeah. Statistically speaking.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
And we're still working on stage line, you know, it's a tough road to figure out, because really, when you look at the reported times, and I should have printed one off to show you, but essentially, the last report we ran, which was a week long, average speed was 37 in a 35, right? 85 percentile speed was 37 in a 35. So is there a problem? You know, kinda. But when you look at the actual violators, it's 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening. It's the people going to work and school and coming home from work and school. Middle of the day, by large volumes, it's not a serious issue. It is a big issue, just like 9th Street, those 2 times of the day, right? Which most of our issues regarding speeding are gonna be during that time. those
Same thing
times.
on 17th, turning into Grandview, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could drop a pin on any street in the city and you're probably gonna face the same situation. So we try to get out there. It's tough, right? Because that's
Sure.
our lowest staffing times in the morning. And we also have the school zones that we're patrolling the bus stops and the school drop-offs and pickups and things like that. And then in the afternoons, you've got everything else going on. You've got the big box stores that are open that are calling in complaints. You've got welfare checks going on, right? So we have more staff at that time, but less resources to be able to pay attention to traffic.
But these numbers on your report for traffic enforcement, that proves you've heard and are doing something.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're being reactive and proactive about it.
Yep. We're trying to do it where we can do it.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Fire has submitted his report. He had another meeting he had to go to, so any communications or items for our future agendas? I think as we go along, we'll just keep referring to this, and Aaron, keep us posted on this.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So when will we start applying that after it's been approved by the?
Yeah, yep. So I'll try to get it to the next Public Works and then Council.
When do they meet next, you know?
Well, now,
Probably not till January.
yeah. So it might be after the January 8th council meeting.
Okay, so it might be at the second January meeting.
It's usually the off week with Public Works, isn't it? So like if they meet week 1, Public Works meets week 2, don't they, or something like that?
Yeah, so maybe we're for the 15th or something, so hopefully,
Should work well within a month, eh?
yeah.
Good.
Okay.
All right, well, then we're gonna be really busy in here.
I do have one question, if I can ask her. A big part of their concern is the safety of their property. Is there anything in the traffic calming thing that would deal with like a noise wall or gating or anything like that that might help protect neighboring residences from higher speed thoroughfares?
No, I mean, we don't, it's like, there's not really, definitely not like a noise wall, because we would have to do like we wouldn't have the ability to do like a noise study. That would have to be hired. And then, we could consider though, like safety, like guardrails and things. That's more of a safety issue, which maybe is just outside of like what the purpose of this document is for.
Yeah, I was just curious because I
But
brought it
no,
up
there's
and I'm like,
nothing, yeah, property or noise, yeah, I think we take noise into consideration with some of the actual, like, they say like speed humps, there's probably gonna be some extra noise, people's cars hitting them, and just people like starting and stopping and things like that, but yeah, not for kind of what she was mentioning with that. Yeah,
And their noise seemed to be more about the speed of
larger
the
vehicles,
larger vehicles when it ran
Yeah.
faster.
yeah.
Okay. Entertain.
Move to adjourn.
I should mention one other thing, just for follow-up. On a couple weeks back, the police department hosted a gathering for a patient that we had on Booster Days that was run over. And it was great, the outcome of that was really good. She got a chance to meet the responders that came there, so I just want to publicly thank Jeff for doing
I
that.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
But that does remind me that we're also hosting a meat raffle at Jonesy's on December 30th for her benefit.
Okay. Good.
So,
Okay, we had a motion to adjourn and a second. We will stand adjourned. Thank you and Merry Christmas, everybody.
Okay, Merry Christmas.
Candied bacon.